obviously have a pretty big impact. Ultimately here, we see actually Rare Adam go for the Ryze. So this is something that did get nerfs to its tank build specifically. It lost base damage, but in return, it got better AP scaling. So it'll be interesting to see what build Strive goes for here. But this, especially if you sync it up with the Volbiear, would be really strong. But I have no doubt, yeah, understandably, BLG looking to deny that one away.
You could still go with the Trundle. You could just take the reverse matchup here as Leyan. It still gives you relatively decent early skirmishing power, and you could get good setup with the Rune Prison into the Trundle Pillar, or vice versa. We'll see what they want to go for. We'll see what way they want to try and make it work out for them. But BLG, very happy with what they've gotten so far. I wouldn't be surprised to see them pick up the Aphelios. I thought Doggo played exceptionally well on that particular champion, and even without the Renata, still had a very good game.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see what they go for here. They could just go for a top laner and ban away counters. Alternatively, it would just be matching the jungler. I do think something's to be said for getting that jungle pick, because you do have that Ryze. You've committed to that early. And in my mind, when you have the Ryze, the reason I think the Volbiear syncs so well is you can just go to those side lanes and apply that pressure. But it looks like Rare Adam might be going in a different direction. We'll wait and see if they lock this one in. And, you know, we do know they put priority on Cube. We do know that they like to give him, put him in a comfortable position. But they just divert completely. Tahm Kench picked up, so a safety net for iBoy on the Jinx. Something that's obviously going to mean less impact maybe be able to achieve by FoFo and the LeBlanc when trying to pressure.
Yeah, honestly, I love this from the side of Rare Adam. They're saying, look, we recognize that if the Jinx can get to Jinx levels and Jinx things, this Jinx can take over. And if you can just protect that carry from the assassins on the side of BLG, you can do a lot. And it's not just for the Jinx either, it's for everyone in the audience. Everyone gets a Tahm Kench should they need it, if you are in a position to be able to use it. But now Rare Adam can focus out some of those big priority picks on that bot side. They've already gotten rid of the Renata, the Thresh going to be coming in. Wouldn't be surprised to see them maybe go for the Leona, the Nautilus as well. Just something that can get that hard engage off the board, keep that bot lane safe.
Probably even the Rakan would kind of make sense. I don't really think Nautilus is that big of an issue, because Tahm Kench does so well in Nautilus. You just eat out the ult because he is more single target based. BLG interested in going for a Diana ban in this situation. Not necessarily something I would have expected to see, but we could see RA going a lot of directions. The thing is, they have the jungle top laner left. They can obviously leave top for counter pick, but they could go in a wild range of directions. They could even go for something like the Nidalee, which we know Leyan is really comfortable on. We haven't really seen it come out or even be looked at all in the series, but I think that's the thing. When you leave your jungler this late, there's so many curveballs you can throw out.
Yeah, there are so many ways you can kind of figure out what you want to do. BLG should be looking towards maybe putting in their last little pick or ban, I should say, into the AD carry, sorry, I was going to say jungle, but no, they're going to go towards the Jace. So they're saying, look, we don't want to give that one up. We know that it can't be blind, but it can definitely be counter-picked into stuff. So definitely a good pick away to get off the board as Rare Adam now. Honestly, pick your jungler, keep that counter-pick for Cube on top.
Yeah, and I think it depends. If we do see like maybe a bit more of a fringe jungler come out, that's why I could definitely see them pick a top laner here. We'll see what direction they end up going with in this situation. And they're actually going to lock in the Nocturne.
Okay.
So, bit of an interesting one. Like, what I will say is that I talked about the Volbiear being really good at diving sides. Nocturne, absolutely right. Once level 6 is hit, very hard to defend against Ryze Nocturne, but not going to have as much AD pressure. That being said, if you do run into the Nocturne and he gets a full fear on you, then obviously that's fine. But not nearly as much pressure, so BLG definitely in a position to apply that. We do see them pick up the Rakan, fine matching with Tahm Kench, good engage to work with the rest of the team. I'll be interested to see what they go for Breed, though. Toying they did the Kennen was buffed on this patch, and means no Gwen pick can really come out here for Cube without having a rough matchup. But yeah, a real curveball. I mean, I felt like, you know, Nidalee was in my mind, but I felt like a curveball jungler would make some sense here for Leyan, because obviously if he's willing to let jungle go to second rotation, he clearly had something up his sleeve.
Yeah, he clearly had an answer here for it as Rare Adam now trying to figure out the last one. I was just about to say,
dude,
I would love the Tryndamere. The dive potential you have even onto something like a Kennen would be insane, but no, they're going to go slightly safer, get the 2 Yordles. I still think Gnar is fantastic. It still does what you want it to do, just not as aggressively as a Tryndamere.
I mean, I think something, because we see so many comps that are so heavily indexed into team fighting, that this is a composition that really, as much as LeBlanc is fine in the side lane, Ryze really feels at home there, right? On top of that, the Gnar will get to the point where he completely outscales the Kennen. In the side lane is hard to hold. And then you have the Nocturne, right? who can just easily dive into those scenarios and make things difficult. And then on top of that, the fact that you have the Tahm Kench as a safety net for the Jinx, you feel comfortable leaving the mid.
Yeah.
So I think I like what they put out. I do think there's like a little bit hole of pressure because of that Volbiear and the Nocturne. So it's about navigating those early levels and get to level 6. Once I hit level 6, I think RA have the tools they need.
Yeah, I think, again, it's just that first 10 minutes of the game to see if they can get up to those level 6s, get that paranoia, get on top of some of these solo lanes and even on the bot side. And again, like you said, you have the Tahm Kench. Your bot lane is relatively safe come 6. So big power spikes here for the side of Adam. But BLG, they've gone with roughly the exact same composition they had in Game 2. They know where they're going to be strong. They're going to try and get FoFo moving forward and combo him up with that strong jungle pick in the Volbiear. So getting that 2v2 rolling for them is going to be a pretty big moment for them.
Yeah, and that's the thing is that there's an element where you can say, okay, you know, they didn't have a winning 2v2 Game 2. No, BLG had the winning 2v2 Game 2. That hasn't changed, but I feel like RA care less this time, right? When you had the Volbiear, if you subdue him, then, you know, he's put in a difficult spot. But Leyan just, I don't think he cares. You know, he's going to farm. He's going to get that 6, and then that is when we're going to measure the impact. And something I always look at when you take Nocturne, that ultimate is a long cooldown, but very instrumental. And I always think, okay, how much value are you getting out of your first ult? Do you get a kill? Do you get an objective? Do you get a plate? Right? I always try and measure it by that, so my eyes will keenly be on him when he approaches that level 6 mark.
Yeah, I'm also curious to see what kind of build we see out of him as well. We did see in our makeup games, there was a Nocturne picked up, did go with a Frostfire Gauntlet. I'll be honest, not my favorite pick of the champion. It was not really what I expected to do. You're better off either just going for full damage, in my opinion, just kind of because your ultimate's a one-way trip. You go in, that's what you do, and you're kind of, in my opinion, you're better off either going Bruiser with the Stride Breaker, get that extra CC, something like that. But we'll see what he ends up going with.
Honestly, I'm not really that bothered either way, because I think one thing is to be said, his ultimate is so broken just by the first activation. Like, the narrow vision can really, especially with BLG's composition, when you have 2 likely flankers, it can really disrupt a team when like LeBlanc's on a flank, Kennen's on a flank, and you're like, okay, I don't know where everyone is. It can really just slow that down quite substantially. And the thing is, when you're up against the likes of a Tahm Kench, being coordinated is instrumental. So whatever build he goes, heck, even if he goes AP, I still think that at least the initial activation will have a lot of impact in those team fights. But yeah, there's a lot of variation. You know, the lethality is kind of a popular one in solo queue. We also see like Stride Breaker, because you obviously get on top of them and you slow them.
Yeah, there's a lot of options, a lot of variations you can go. I will say, I thought I was casting with Lyric there for a second and she said heck. I didn't know what was going on.
I've been spending too much time with him.
You have been spending way too much time with him.
It's like every second sentence he says heck.
Yeah, he does. He says it a lot, and it's you know, it's kind of like, calm down, man. You know, this is a PG broadcast.
Yeah, especially when he's expressing his love for animated series based on the characters from League of Legends.
Honestly,
then he really says heck a lot.
Do you know what I just realized as we were I'm going to stop myself very quickly as we are going to see the exhaust coming down. That is going to be crisp, keeping Yuyanjia away from Doggo, but it's not a great trade coming out here. You lose your exhaust, you don't get anything else. Before we go on, as we were talking about our heckin' love for Arcane, do you know what I realized? That the slums is called the lanes. And what do you have in League of Legends?
Minions?
Yeah, you also
towers.
Have gold, towers.
Yeah,
yeah, you got lanes, and that kind of just made me go, huh, I wonder if that was intentional.
You wonder if that was intentional?
Yeah. Well, like I said, like the lanes isn't exactly like
so an
uncommon thing to call.
You know,
like
in Arcane, they have a character called Caitlyn, and then do you know what they have in League of Legends?
That's a stretch.
Do you think that was intentional?
You're being silly. You're being silly.
Do you think that was intentional?
You're being silly. You're being silly now.
I don't know.
Come on
hard
now.
to tell.
Come on now. Don't be bringing in conspiracy theories here now. Okay. As we kind of see it come back into the game. I'm sorry, but why do you always just like chastise me? When it's just like, no, slight error. You're going down.
Dude, I gotta do it.
I'm gonna ruin you.
I don't know. I can't help myself. It feels like
so
it has
easy.
to be done.
So easy, apparently. As we can come back into the game, we will see WeiWei getting double scuttle. Again, like you said, Leyan doesn't care. He's just going to be happy just to farm up most of his jungle himself. As we see, a little bit of a frisky moment there for the bot lane of iBoy. But he goes back, gets himself a little cheater recall and gets his coal. Cube is fully aware that there is a big old bear.
Yeah,
the
ward timed out just. Oh well, you know, we've seen WeiWei. He cleared got double scuttle. He looked for a gank top, didn't find it. That's his first clear down. Jobs are good. But Leyan, as you said, he is just going to be trying to farm up for that level 6. He's going to go mid to help Strive get a push in so he can reset. Obviously wants to pick up like the tier as early as possible. One thing I am interested in is what build ends up coming out, because obviously he lost a lot of base damage. He was on his Q, he lost 25, and that's even more significant because it gets multiplied when you have that overload. So pretty significant hit, but obviously he got buffed to his AP scaling, so I'll be interested to see if we do see an AP Ryze. We did see an AP Ryze earlier this split.
Yep.
Was it Scout or Knight?
I think it was Knight.
Okay, yeah. So obviously that build's better now, and we won't know until later because they start the build the same, right? By the way, we do see a big wave stacked up. WeiWei comes down bot, make sure no shenanigans are going to go on, and they can collect that wave freely, but ultimately I didn't expect them because Leyan is just farming up.
Yeah, they're farming up, and honestly with 280 carries picking up Coles as well, that's going to be a pretty big indicator of how they expect the next 5 to 6 minutes of this game going. There's going to be bouncing back waves constantly between each other, and nothing really untoward to be talking about here beside the two teams. It is still about a 500 gold lead, and that is basically just kind of being in the mid and the top lane and in the jungle a little bit as well. It's just going to be that way because early on the Kennen will have priority, but again, like we mentioned for RA, they don't care about that. They know that their power comes from level 6. I'm curious to see not only about where Leyan goes with his paranoia, but also with Strive on this realm more, because we also kind of see a couple of creative ways. We've seen very creative ways of utilizing that.
I hope it's the same
ult.
place. That would be kind of hilarious if like Strive goes top while Leyan goes bot. That would kind of be
paranoia, and then you just create pure confusion.
Well, that is one thing. I swear, whenever you see the Nocturne ult go down, everyone always backs off until they've worked out who it is, and then you push forwards again. You're just like, oh, you thought we'd get baited by that, and then you step forwards, and that'd be a wild one to bank off that aggression.
I was gonna say the thing about paranoia, as the name of an ability goes, it's pretty on point. Like, it is literally does exactly what it says on the tin. It's like it gives the rest of a team paranoia. The amount of times you've been in game and you've just been like, paranoia gets popped, and you're against the Nocturne, like, where is it? Is it us? What's going on? But I'm gonna talk myself into a hole as Strive will take an unfavorable trade there into FoFo. They do have the Volbiear up on the top side. He's going to find himself now behind enemy lines. Here he goes. He's going to flash in, but force the flash away. WeiWei is going to be speared, but not before he can get the damage. Crisp comes in to get the kill, and that's going to be first blood over to BLG.
Just a little bit overzealous, right? That's the thing with LeBlanc. You have such good setup, and I think there it was kind of Leyan keeps coming mid to help Strive get the push in so he can reset. And it was just like, oh, my jungler's here, I can do what I want, I'm going to step up, clear the wave. But it's still disrespectful. You have to bear in mind, something we talked about is the mid-jungle 2v2 for BLG is far stronger, and that's even ignoring the fact that Crisp turned up as well.
It's a good proactive play, or reactive play, I should say, from BLG. They recognize as Crisp. You need to be a bit careful there, buddy. You are going to take a lot of unfavorable trading, but the Chakrams there. We will see now top lane trading back, and this is the scaling you were talking about. Gnar going to be very happy to take these trades all day, every day. Gets to slice the Maelstrom, and that's a much bigger cooldown than it is on the Mega Gnar, as we see now Strive going in with the Realm Warp, gets himself over the wall, and now Breathe in a little bit of trouble. Cube actually was tanking the tower. Strive trying to see if he can get on front, not quite able to get him. No, and that's not going to be enough, though. Breathe tried so hard, but both globals using the top side. Now we might see, after the paranoia has been used and the darkness has faded, iBoy will take a hell of a lot of damage as he backs himself away, but at the end of it all, Breathe will lose a significant amount of farm and his life on that top side.
Yeah, no TP as well, so should be plates for Cube. This is the sort of play we want to see. What would Leyan get from his first ultimate? They go to the same spot, they managed to secure the kill. Yes, it's extended, yes, it took a long time, but they managed to steal away the blue buff, they managed to get the kill, and Cube is rewarded with 2 plates, so pretty positive overall. Obviously, the answer bot lane is they were able to get 2 plates themselves, but that's a proactivity we're looking for in Game 2 that never came to fruition.
And this is what we've seen from RA most of the split. It's focusing on that top side. It's getting Cube into a much more favorable matchup as Strive. He has got Merc Tread, so he should be fine. As I said, I'd turn off the tower so they can just dive him in the 2v2. This is deja vu.
Yeah, literally. I mean, it's so easy for FoFo just to dash forward, you land the chain, and at that point, Strive is just dead. Merc Treads, it doesn't really matter the fact that you can double chain, and then WeiWei jumps on top as well. And I like that they're targeting mid because all these plays in the side lane are enabled by mid pressure. By the fact that Strive can move first with the Realm Warp, if you continue to apply to kill him, to control the area, it's just not going to be possible, and that's where RA will really start to flounder. Now, iBoy just pick up a second plate for himself on the bot side. But in the meantime, BLG with that mid kill will easily just pick up the Herald themselves.
Yeah, and again, this is BLG accelerating themselves into a good standing, and I think this LeBlanc is very, very quickly ramping up in my expectations of, like, can you let this be first pick? Can you let this one through? It is still early days in this game. You're only coming up to just under 10 minutes. As we wait to see now where the rest of RA want to try and put their focus. Leyan will have the paranoia back very shortly, and that's again another point of call. Looks like he is going to go towards that stride breaker and try and just get that little bit of extra CC when he dives in on the back line.
Yeah, you know, when we saw Nocturne be really strong in the meta, it was when Stridebreaker was really strong, because it's the fact that you guarantee the gap closer, and then it had a super strong slow. It still has a slow, just not as strong, but also the attack speed as well goes a long way in terms of dueling. And I also think there's something to be said. We talk about LeBlanc and Kennen in particular as champions who love to find flank angles, right? I think that's really where they flourish when it comes to team fights, particularly when you look at RA's comp. Getting on that back line is how BLG want to operate. We have to be cautious, because if you step on a ward when you're going for a flank angle, Nocturne could just dive you.
Yep.
And if he's able to duel you out, then, well, that flank's not really going to work.
Yeah, flank is only as good as the information available to the opposite team, as we wait to see now where these teams want to kind of bring their advantage. 50 seconds now until that dragon spawns. Both these junglers hovering around the mid lane, seeing if they can make something happen. It feels like Leyan wants to try and make something happen on the top side. Again, when in doubt, go back to your basics, go back to your bread and butter, and make sure that you can make this happen. If you give up this dragon, it's a cloud dragon, and also it's only second Drake of the game. You don't really care. Now Breathe knows that this Nocturne is in the top side, and that's going to have to just give up all of these plates, and it is going to be traded back on the bot side. They have Rift Herald, so it should be first turret going over to BLG, but again, a good response here from RA to make sure that they are trading and not just losing. Yeah,
I mean, that's the thing, is that the Herald is essentially going to upgrade you regardless, so at least they're doing something on the other side of the map. Unfortunately, not able to find the dive. They had the Mega Gnar there, but Breathe respects it and backs away. But RA will ensure that nothing else comes from the Herald. It will just be that one tower. Definitely an advantage of BLG. You can see that reflected in the team gold, particularly when you look at the fact that Doggo's 500 gold up. WeiWei's got a bit of an advantage as well, but it's not super significant, right? And I think RA is still kind of okay with that one. But they are also going to forfeit the dragon on the bot side, so it's kind of a double whammy there.
Yeah, you lose out in the tower. That's going to be about a 1,500 gold lead. You get the second Drake over to the side of BLG. They get themselves on the board with that. It's going to be an Ocean Soul. Pretty good Soul. Again, I think that most people will be happy with anything that's not a Cloud.
You know, I'm just going to say, I feel like people underrate Cloud. People always like rag on it and are like, Cloud's useless. I feel like there's plenty of situations where Cloud is fantastic. Particularly like here for Rakan and Kennen, you'd love it, right? And on the other side, I think Ocean, this isn't the greatest game for Ocean, because a lot of the champions at the side of BLG, like Kennen and LeBlanc, will look to burst you. Ocean is going to help iBoy survive against burst, and if iBoy dies, I don't really care if Kench has got some extra healing. So I feel like it's a bit better for RA because they have some bulkier members. But at the end of the day, I don't think it's like the most impactful dragon. I don't think it's one of those dragons, like sometimes, I mean, it was especially true with Chemtech Soul,
yes,
where it's like you secure that and the game, that can just be game winning alone. I don't think Ocean's going to be in this situation, but you can definitely still see teams prioritize it regardless.
As much as Chemtech Soul was very much universally disliked by the league community, it gave us one of the greatest plays in LPL this year, which was a Rich on Akali, top esports versus V5, and he kills them. Literally kills 6 people because they kills 3 of them and has to kill 3 of them again while they're knocking down on his Nexus, and that was great.
That was fun.
That was an awesome thing, and that doesn't happen unless that revive comes in, unless you have like multi-man Renata.
Yeah, and that was fun, but it was regular season, and now we're in playoffs. I'm glad it's gone.
Well, we are going to see now them trying to get on top of Cube. Easy as you like, just jump on top of him. The Slightly Maelstrom does enough damage to keep him down, and that is going to be another kill going off. So RA starting to fall behind a lot more now. We're seeing BLG get into their comfort zone, and it does feel like it is BLG being more proactive. It does feel like it's BLG just finding better opportunities, and RA, they got to find an answer.
Yeah, I mean, it feels subdued, right? They had that good first play with the Nocturne, but one of the things as well with the Nocturne Ultimate, it's such a high-power tool that kind of any time it's not being used, it has that pressure that it applies. Sure.
Oh, speaking of which, they're going to go jump in. There's no Slicing Maelstrom here. He flashes over to the fear. It's already there. And that's the power of the Stride Breaker. The extra little bit of CC makes it a little bit harder. And that's going to be a good trade back here now for RA. I like this from Adam. Oh, Moonlight Vigil, but it's a Tahm Kench. What's going to happen? He's going to survive.
Well, there's follow-up coming in.
They're going to look for it. Yuyanjia's in a little bit of trouble here, and he's almost certainly going to go down. Yep, nothing he can do there as the Ryze is just not in position to be able to help him out with a Realm Warp. You do not have the Paranoia despite Leyan being around, and that's just going to be another quick response here from BLG.
And that's the thing, right? You want to be using the ultimate of the Nocturne so that it comes off cooldown so you get another usage, right? Because you want to get as much value as possible. But as soon as Leyan went for the ult on the bot side, BLG are like, oh, no Nocturnal. Easy dive top. They bring their members there, and yes, iBoy's able to survive, get away. They lose the tower, they lose the Tahm Kench, and that's the thing, right? Without that ultimate available, it's a signal that BLG can go, and they will time that and track that and know when they can be aggressive as a result.
And it's not only just that the Nocturne ult was down, the Tahm Kench ult was as well, so iBoy knows he just has to back away. He can't really help his support here. Doggo even eats the exhaust. I feel like that was a little bit of a faux pas, shall we say, from Yuyanjia.
Yeah, Yuyanjia's exhaust has been a little bit questionable.
They've been very
that one at level 1, I was like...
Off cooldown, go! Just use it. But it is what it is, and now it's 2,500 gold lead now for BLG. Dragon spawning in just over a minute's time. You will have the Paranoia, but you will not have Flash. Importantly, though, for Leyan, he doesn't need Flash. Breathe, on the other hand, very much does, and that's going to be hard for that Kennen to try and find a fight if they can't get on that big flank.
That's the thing, post 14 minutes with the TP does make things a lot easier if you can get some deep vision on the backside. Now, this second Herald likely going to be able to break open mid if they're able to secure it, so we'll see WeiWei get it, and this is the passage of play I want to see from BLG. You get the Herald, the second one right, you go for, I don't think you have time for the resets, but then you head over towards mid, Herald goes down, that should be enough to secure mid tower, or at least get a low, and then using that pressure you can just beeline straight into the Dragon area, and RA are forced to respond to the Herald in return. Well,
we are going to see the Mega Gnar running out for here for Cube. Very unfortunate timing. Should be able to get it back relatively swiftly as iBoy now has to get to Devour. He healed as well. Summoner and Ultimate down. Yes, you get that turret in bot side, but you're now not without the Mega. I don't know if you can defend this tower or this dragon. I think you just kind of have to give it up. But it looks like RA are still seeing if someone does overstep. But FoFo hiding in the wings, recognizing that they're going to put a ward down. Yuyanjia in a lot of trouble. The Paranoia comes in, and WeiWei has to get himself out. The Rift Herald will not take the tower down just yet. Doggo with the Moonlight Vigil as FoFo keeps himself safe, and Doggo gets himself a double kill. This is a big, big moment here for BLG. They gain everything and lose nothing. Cube trying to go forward with the Mega, seeing if he can make something work. Nicely done there by Cube. Salvages something in the play.
Yeah, it's a redemption, but it was still very much RA falling behind in the back of that one. Their tower survives the sliver of HP. With BLG running away, looks like they might move over. Oh, no.
FoFo, nicely done, taking out his old AD carry. Remember, this is about getting yourselves through the playoffs, and BLG, FoFo's feeling confident.
He's looking for more here.
I mean, he could be able to get it. Cube, sadly, was the one who tanked up the chain, which means they have to fully back away.
Yeah, they'll find the Kennen, and that's the thing. Breathe was hanging around, so honestly, the fact that iBoy goes down, it does mean they secure the Dragon, but I was so scared of them approaching and then Breathe being there with the Slicing Maelstrom, potentially as a major threat. Ultimately, they'll secure that second of the game. Again, I don't think the Ocean's super significant here, but the fact is they're accruing such a gold lead. And just this situation, BLG so confident to dive on the back of this Volbiear and shut down the towers.
Yeah, and again, look, you see so much being committed here. That's not a WeiWei. The tower's been shut off. It's not really the ideal target. Funny thing is, I think if Leyan actually jumps onto Doggo instead of WeiWei, he probably kills him off, but was not to be. This is Cube just salvaging the play and finally getting a shutdown there, but again, it's salvaging. You're on to scrap metal at this stage. You're not really getting the premium, and then this is iBoy. You just don't need to be there. I think he just flashed on spot.
Yeah, well, I think he tried to flash, but because FoFo already committed his, you know, he's able to catch him with the distortion at the end. Yeah, it's rough. And it's now just shy about 2,500 gold lead for BLG. And I am scared of FoFo on this LeBlanc in particular. He is such a massive threat. 2-0-4 on this pick. He was super instrumental last game, and it's proven to be so again this game. And honestly, they could have banned this. They banned the Renata instead. The Renata was like a second rotation pick. I don't think you really tend to first rotation it because you kind of want to see what you're going up against. And I feel like the fact they've had to deal with FoFo's LeBlanc this game has made things really problematic. Strive, who we praised so heavily, 0-3-2 on the Ryze, not having a fun time at all.
it's not been a fun time at the moment for RA. I will say the caveat for them, if they should lose this game going into Game 4, they will be on, I imagine they'll have choice, and I imagine they'll either try to go on blue so they can pick the LeBlanc themselves, or they will end up going towards it, just banning it out because they don't have as many insta-bans on the red side for those power picks. But power picks, neither of that. That's in the future. We'll see how that one ends up going as BLG now move up towards this top side. Strive, seeing if he could maybe get caught out just a little bit. Will pop down the Everfrost. They will get the knock-up as well. Force WeiWei's ultimate out of him. That's a good reactionary play here from RA, and they survive to fight another day.
Yeah, try and set up something, but I think that's the thing, is there's an element of restraint. If they aren't able to find the angle, just back away, but RA just defending it. I think that's something to be said, right? They still hold up well. Cube's very comfortable in the side lane, right? He's got significant CS lead over Breed. He's a level up, he's strong. If the Nocturne can find a window in on the sides, that's also powerful. They have Strive who can hold sides as well, and that's why BLG, I feel like they're trying to apply this pressure, trying to get the ball going forwards, because not only do you have that 1-3-1 threat, but you also have the Jinx who... Things are always a little bit tumultuous when you're up against... Got it in the end, man. When you're up against a Jinx, because you make one big mistake, and it's like she'll just reset, and that's game over.
So how do you approach these fights then as RA? You know you're a little bit behind. You know you have got the split push, but where do you want to see them focus now as we come up to past the 20-minute mark?
Well, I think whether you... Oh, I don't get a chance.
No, well, you can go back into it. His Cube is actually going to keep fighting here. He might get Mega, not quite able to get it just yet. The Paranoia comes in to try and distort, but go on. Where do you want to see them go when Cube respawns?
Well, I think whether you're playing for Dragon or Baron, either neutral, what I want to see is them pushing heavily into the enemy jungle and getting deep vision. And then you don't even play around fights, you play around picks, right? The fact you have FoFo and this LeBlanc, all you need is pockets of vision where RA has to approach, and then with that, you can easily just snap someone up. There's no one on the side of RA who can withstand like a full combo from FoFo, and then should they commit, should you mess up the pick from FoFo and the enemy team try to dive into, that's when the Kennen comes in on the flank.
Oh, Leyan, he was a little bit too quick on the trigger there for the spell shield, and that's going to be him dying in this particular skirmish. He even blew his flash as well, so not a great start here, or not a great start to this, setup around the Dragon. They will lose their jungler. He will be back up in time, but a little bit late to the party. Should have the Paranoia to try and join in should he need it. But RA, they're starting to run out of options. 3,500 gold down. They're not too worried about the Dragon Soul just yet, but the longer this game goes, again, the more we feel like BLG is moving back into their comfort zone.
Yeah, and I think particularly Crisp on this Rakan, really I think something's to be said for Crisp so far this season as a whole, but on these engaged champions, really confident in making those snap engages, finding those angles, those opportunities, and delivered in a similar way there on Leyan. And now he has respawned, does have the ultimate. I'm not sure whether they go for this Dragon, but it looks like they have to try and get over to Baron, because were they starting up, or were they just clearing out vision?
Clearing out vision. Everyone had reset. They had just gotten Doggo and FoFo back onto the map, so you would imagine that the side of BLG weren't going to try and start off the Baron with the Kennen and the Rakan, but now that we're back in towards this Dragon Pit, we are going to see a little bit of pressure being put down here. TV going to be coming out. That's going to be a massive flank from the Kennen. We are going to see Yuyanjia use the ultimate there to try and keep him alive. They don't have full vision just yet, but they are putting great work there onto Chris, but he will fall. The Ram Warp has brought everybody back in, and BLG are separated. What looked like could have been a fantastic flank for Breed sees him use his teleport and his flash just to get away.
Yeah, I mean, it was just messy. Oh, TP.
They're going for him. They're going for him. They know they can catch him out and get rid of this turnaround, but iBoy's been left on his own. Yuyanjia has to flash away. They trade back 1-for-1. It's a 2-for-1 overall as WeiWei now in a little bit of trouble. They'll get the knock-up, but it's all between everybody. They won't get it just yet. It's Doggo and FoFo are ripping RA apart. Nowhere for you to go, Cube. You're going to end up falling eventually. As he flashes in, FoFo not quite able to get the chain to land. But what started off so brightly for RA ends in disaster. BLG cleaning up 5-for-2.
And they go for that deep. They go for that deep flank with the Kennen. They try and find the angle on the approach where Bree's going to be able to deliver. But the thing is, the reason this fails so spectacularly is because RA able to avoid the initial engage, right? Tahm saves the Nocturne. And then everyone's so split. The fact that Strive and the Chompers are zoning off the rest of the team, it's a really divided setup for RA. But the mistake comes out because RA are like, cool, we've just started to win the fight, then they split up. The whole reason why they had the advantage was they were tight as a unit. Now you see Strive and Cube running off, and iBoy with no Tahm gets left isolated. They make the exact same mistake BLG did just seconds later.
It just feels like every time RA find a window, they just slam it on their own fingers there, and just not really the situation you want to be in there as Cube. He will survive. We know that it will happen. The Stridebreaker doing great for him there, but very, very unfortunate. Now RA looking down the barrel of a soul point here for BLG. 4,000 gold in the Ascendancy now, and this is where a game gets harder and harder. FoFo has been a menace on this LeBlanc. And, you know, we've seen the tank Ryze build come up from Strive. I think this is the right call in this game, right? There's so many burst threats on the enemy team, but it was nerfed, right? The damage reduced quite significantly, especially when Doggo has a Bloodthirster. He is not an easy target to take down. He has a low Dominic, so he is doing an insane amount of damage to Cube and Strive, and Yuyanjia shredding through them will get that Giant Slayer effect as well. And there's still something to be said for Cube in the side lane, right? He can hold his own, he can apply pressure to breathe, but he's not really doing enough that BLG are that concerned. And they can just, once again, if they want to set up for the Baron area, they get Division. They allow FoFo to look for a pick. FoFo is 1 level ahead of Strive as he goes in, not going to land a single ability, and then just walk away. But again, he can do that because he knows that Strive with this tank build isn't going to burst him down. Last patch, that would have been a bit risky because the Ryze would have been maybe able to do a lot more damage, but now it's not as significant.
I mean, I feel like he still would have been that much of a threat, right?
No, he wouldn't have been much of a threat, but he would have lost more than 100 HP.
I mean, it would have been like 150. It would have.
Still more.
Yeah, but I feel like that's the thing with LeBlanc is like in a lot of these situations, limited accountability. And really, that's why I kind of feel like the Nocturne had a place here because he can actually hold you accountable. If you dive in, get chunked out, end up in a bad spot, use all your mobility, that's when Nocturne can fly on you. But the problem is, RA is so behind now. They're just not really finding the windows to operate. And at this moment, 6-1-2 on Doggo. 3-0-6 for FoFo. These carries are so strong. Really scary for RA. And BLG aren't exactly setting things up as aggressively as we might see some other teams, right? They haven't really established super deep vision to set up for these picks. That's what I feel like they could be doing ideally. But as of now, they're kind of just taking their time. Looks like they might start up the Baron, but RA have vision of this.
This is also spreading yourself very thin, as we can see now. Cube is going to find himself against two people, misses the ultimate completely, and he will be taken by FoFo, and that's another little pick. I feel like it's just, again, little things like that where you're so far pushed up and you don't have any vision of anyone else. Just back away.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the problem there, well, the reason BLG even went into the pit is trying to get RA to show so they can kind of know, okay, is everyone here? Is there a Nocturne hanging around the side? Is there a Ryze hanging around the side? They got their answer. They take out Cube. Now they feel confident to kick this off, and Cube's TP is a while away with his respawn.
Yeah, 20 seconds, and we're going to see actually no, BLG just want the fight. They're going to pop out the paranoia to try and just dissuade everyone from going onto Yuyanjia. There's the quickness coming out. They're going to try and take him down. He's very tanky on this Tahm Kench. You've invested a lot, but FoFo finds the backside. Eventually they get the Tahm Kench to get the Devourer out, but 2 kills over to Doggo. He now has 8 in the game. And BLG just playing with their food.
Yeah, but I love the setup, right? You start Baron, and then you look for the engage at the back of it. Now, I don't think they necessarily have... the fact that Cube is now respawned means he can potentially come in, but I just don't think they have the power to fight here. No paranoia as well from Leyan really makes things difficult.
It makes it so difficult. And FoFo is just playing bouncer right now, just keeping everybody away. And while that's been happening, you got WeiWei, Doggo, and Breed just saying, cool, we'll get the Baron, we'll get that massive objective. And BLG have themselves a huge amount of momentum going in less than a minute's time before that Dragon Soul spawns.
Yeah, things looking rough, right? And I feel like game 1, RA came out swinging, and it felt like RA's draft didn't really suit them, but they've really started to warm up in this one. And here, it takes a long time for them to get in on this, but critically the Chompers were sort of on the side, so we weren't able to stop this aggression, and they just keep charging forwards, and FoFo finds this flank angle, and the fact that, you know, they use the E to keep iBoy safe, but it just means you end up sacrificing the rest of your team.
Well, RA, it's do or die. I feel like right now in this game, you got to try and find something going for you. But Breed is already on a flank. He's already in a position where he can just wreak havoc. They have no idea. Now they do, but they're going to jump straight on top of him. Leyan takes a lot of damage onto him. He's probably going to be able to take down this Kennen, though, because he had got the Hex Drinker, and it's a fight on two fronts. Leyan's going to keep following forward. The Dustbringer not quite there, though, just yet, as FoFo has finally joined. Delete Yuyanjia, and the rest of RA have to back themselves away. There's nowhere for them to go. We're going to see a TP on top side from Strive. Soul goes over to BLG.
Yeah, I mean, just nothing they can do. I like the concept. This is kind of what I was talking about, the fact that you can jump on those flankers with the Nocturne, but one, this Nocturne's pretty weak, and on top of that, he also missed his second Q, the follow-up. Just didn't quite have enough damage to finish up Breathe, and you know, even if he had killed him, the fact is FoFo is so strong, just absolutely obliterates your Tahm Kench. They secure the soul. I still don't think it's the most substantial soul, but it's still a power increase for a team that, in all honesty, don't need a power increase. They're already so much stronger than RA.
Yeah, they're just so much bigger and badder right now, as we can see Doggo with WeiWei and Crisp in tow, just pushing into this basically the nexus of the next few seconds, because he is just going to shred these turrets. These objectives are going to go down. Leyan has the paranoia, but what are you going to do with it? You don't have any damage. You don't have anyone to really follow up. And speaking of damage, you can see iBoy almost goes down. Yuyanjia trying to keep his AD carry alive, but Doggo with 2 more kills. They will get the cannon on the backside of this, but they can just end the game.
Yeah, they can just push up, and Cuba's mega, but he can't even get in range because FoFo.
Can't get in range. The Strive's trying to see if he can do something here. He's trying to go in with Cube by flashing in to flash away. Cube was the last respite, and he shall fall. Leyan trying to see if he can keep Strive alive, but he shall not. And BLG will go up to match point 2-1 over RA in this series.
And with a really convincing performance. Breathe kind of left to dry in that one, but everyone else, there was coordination, there was proactive plays. The mid-jungle, it really felt like we saw a step up from both WeiWei and I mean FoFo just completely delivered on the LeBlanc. And you know, I feel like we can obviously point fingers at things like the LeBlanc, right? But I feel like this was more than that. This was just strong play from BLG, and RA struggled not only to execute their game plan, but also just to match. Like the Nocturne really didn't come to fruition, and importantly, Oisin, we finally saw a good Volbiear game.
We did. I was going to say that right at the end. We saw the power that this Volbiear can have. And again, it's with lanes that can facilitate it and kind of help it out. You get in, your pure burst damage with your Q into your W and your E is just absolutely absurd. And you just have great survivability as well. So RA, you're floundering a little bit right now. This was not really close. You can see just the damage. Look at the damage between your 2 carries. FoFo and Doggo eclipsing Strive and iBoy.
Hey, at least at some point they had an 11 gold lead, right?
There was 11 gold in the Ascendancy at some point for RA.
It just felt like they could never really find the angles into these fights. And I think, you know, there was something to be said for their 1-3-1 strength. There was also something said for the tools they had to enable early. But when Strive fell behind, and after that first use of the ult from Leyan, it kind of just really felt like they were a bit lost on what to do. Nocturne, not super solid. I understood it conceptually, right? I understand how it could work, but they really struggled to pull it off.
Yeah, and again, even the first use of the ultimate, yes, they got the kill onto Breed, but it was after the Realm Warp, the flashes, everything had been used, and it just took a very long time, which in turn gave BLG time to set themselves up on the bottom half of the map, get themselves set up for pushing and getting Doggo to the absolute monster of an Aphelios that he was. And the high priority for iBoy on the Jinx is good, but I feel like BLG don't care about the Jinx in this series. They're going, look, if you take the Jinx, that's fine. We have Doggo and Aphelios, who has just looked exceptional on this pick all split.
Yeah, 100%. It's felt like, you know, and it's not been enough in these fights. Like, iBoy struggling to get the damage off to find the momentum. And it just feels like it doesn't really make that much of a difference. We're not getting that point where suddenly a Jinx can take over,